Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. We'll begin with our prayers.
Hare Krishna.
Jnanatimirandasya jnananjana kaya chaksharo anvalitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaः. Shri Chaitanya Vishnu Sanate Namotale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuda Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादां सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चना गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणि निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणि जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे हरे
Krishna Krishna
हरे
Hare
राम
Hare
राम
Hare
राम
Rama Hare Ram Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. We are discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3. We are in chapter 21, conversation between Manu and Kardam. So we have discussed so far the story of Hiranyaksha being killed by Varahadev. Brahma, he continued his creation. All the various types of species were created. All the Yakshas, Kinnaras, Devatas, demons, and Gandharvas, Bhut, Pishach, everybody was created. Then ultimately Manu was created, the sages were created, and then Swayambhu Manu was created. And in this chapter, in the beginning, Vidurji he asks that, can you please tell me more about the glorious dynasty of Swayambhu Manu? Because all the great devotees appeared there. Vamshaha Paramasammataha. The glorious dynasty was full of devotees of the Lord. So can you please tell me more about them? So Maitreya Muni continues the discussion. He starts the story of the middle daughter of Devahati, because in her womb Lord appeared first. And similarly, in the fourth canto, after the story of all these three daughters are over, Maitreya Muni starts the description of Uttanpad first, and not Priyavrat, although Priyavrat was the elder one. Why? Anyone knows why he started with Priyavrat, Uttanpad first? Because he was eager to describe the story of Dhruva, was a great devotee of the Lord. So similarly, here he is describing the story of Devahuti first. So he continued how Kardamuni, he was such a great Mahayogi, and Devahuti was Yoga Lakshana, Tasyam Sevai Mahayogi, Yuktayam Yoga Lakshanai. And can you please tell me about her, how she procreated? And can you please tell me about Ruchi, who married? Ruchi was married to Akuti. And then Daksha was married to Prasuti. So he asks about all of them. So Maitreya Muni continues the story. Sorry? Kashyapa Diti is different age. Kashyapa Diti is in the Swayambhu Manvantara. And of course, not different age, but the lineage is different. Kashyapa, when the 10 sages were created, one of them is Kashyapa. So Kashyapa married Diti and Aditi. So that is the story. So then Maitreya Muni continues the story how Brahmaji, he told Kardam that you please procreate And Kardam, he started doing tapasya. He did tapasya for 10,000 years. And the Lord was pleased. Lord appeared in front of him, and the beautiful features of the Lord were described. Then Kardamuni offers his prayers. He describes how people who are materialistic, they worship you for material things. But I am like that foolish person. Ye mayayate hatamedhasa. Hatamedhasa means who have lost their intelligence. And he says, I have also lost my intelligence. I am worshipping you for some material things. I want a wife. I'm like a bull who is dull in his intelligence. That's why I'm asking you for material things. And then he speaks few beautiful verses. Lokam shalokan ugatam spashumsha hitva shataste charanat patram. So people who are materialistic followers, who are materialists and who are the followers of materialistic people, they only leave your lotus feet. Hitva shataste charanat patram. And then after offering all these beautiful prayers, then he stops, and from 21st to 23rd verse will begin now. Supreme Lord starts speaking to Kardamuni. 23rd verse. I'll share the slide also. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Vididva Tava Chaityam Me Guraiva Samayojitat Yamai Tvayaivaaham Samarchitaha.
The Supreme Lord said, having come to know what was in your mind, I have already arranged for that for which you have worshipped me well through your mental and sensory discipline.
Yeah. So Lord is always aware of our desires. It is not that he is not aware. It comes many times in Bhagavatam when all the devtas and Brahmaji they go to Lord Vishnu in seventh canto. It comes when Hiranyakashipu is doing tapasya. So there also Lord tells, I know your situation. I am there. Do not fear. Ma bhaishta. He says, do not fear. I know your situation. So here also Lord is telling, I know your mind. I have already arranged for you. Already I have arranged a match for you. So don't worry about that. So when sincere prayer is offered with a sincere desire to serve, Lord is ready to show mercy. And he already arranges for all the things which are required by a devotee so that ultimately a devotee can serve him only. But interestingly, when we approach the Lord for material things also, the Lord purifies the material desires. So the Lord is telling, I have already fulfilled, arranged for your desires to be fulfilled. Don't worry about that. So the Prabhupada writes, Supreme Personality of Godhead knew the heart's desire of Kardamuni, and he had already arranged for the fulfillment of his desires. He never disappoints a sincere devotee, regardless of what he wants. But he never allows anything which will be detrimental to the individual's devotional service. That is very important part. Lord will fulfill all the desires, but he makes sure that whatever the devotee wants, it should not become an obstacle in his path of bhakti. But devatas are not like that. They will fulfill whatever a person wants, regardless of whether it is good or bad. Although Kardamuni's desire was not grossly material, because he was ultimately desiring to serve the Lord only. So that's how he is telling, Lord is telling, I have already arranged for you. Next verse. Na vai jatu mrishaiva syat prajadhyaksha
Navijatu Subhashya
भगवद्विधेषु अतितरम्
अयोध्यक्ष मदहनः
मयि
भगवद्गीतेश्व
सङ्गृह्यतात्मनाम्
मयि संगृह्य
The Lord continued, my dear Rishi, O leader of the living entities, for those who serve me in devotion by worshipping me, especially persons like you, who have given up everything unto me, there is never any question of frustration.
Yes. Navai Jatu, there is never any question of Mrisha. Mrisha means frustration, uselessness. Navai Jatu, there is never a question of frustration. Praja Adhyaksha, he is calling Kardamuni as Praja Adhyaksha, he is a Prajapati, whole leader of living entities. Madarahanam, if somebody is worshipping me in devotion, there is never a question of frustration for him. And then he says, Bhavad Videshu Atitaram, especially a person like you. Anyone who comes with any desire, if he comes to me, he will never face frustration in life. And especially people like you, Bhavad Vidha, they have given up everything for me. Mai Sangri Vritatmana. They have given everything for me. So where is the question of frustration for people like you? So that's how Lord is telling. He provides for everyone akama, sarvakama, mokshakama. But if somebody is a devotee, Lord takes special care of that person. If somebody is a nishkam or an unalloyed devotee, Lord takes care of that devotee specially. So that is how Lord is assuring. There is no question of frustration for a person like you. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, fulfilling your desire will not reduce your worship of me, rather you will attain me. Please take courage. So that is how Lord is assuring. Don't worry. I'll fulfill your desires and you will not be bound by material desires. You will not be entangled in this material world. So that is the power of serving the Lord. When Lord is pleased, Lord will give all the facilities and he will make sure that the devotee is not entangled. The same he does with Dhruva, same he does with Prahlad. So he always assures, don't worry, you will be protected. Same is about Priyavrat Maharaj also. Because he is such a great devotee, he is absorbed in the Lord's service. Although he created all this Bhumandal and all the seven oceans, the islands, and he ruled for thousands of years, still he was not affected by any of it. And then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes this famous verse, which we have heard hundreds of times. Satyam dishati arthitam arthito ninam naivarth doyat punararthitam. It is true that Krishna gives arthitam arthito ninam. Naivarth do, he never gives in a way punararthitam. Dobara mangega hi nahi. How he does that? Soyam vidhatte bhajatam anichatam. He gives himself. Devotee says, आप नहीं चाहिए मेरे को. I only want my desires to be fulfilled. Krishna says होता नहीं है. 1 + 1 3 आता है. You know, I always come with my benedictions. And when I come, Ichha Pidhanam, Lord's lotus feet includes all desirables. Nijapad Pallav. Worshipping me will never be without good results. In the end, I will bestow my abode. So that is how Lord is assuring him. Don't worry, you will satisfy, you will enjoy, and in the end, you will come to me also. Do not have fear. Such worship among those devotees who have absorbed their minds in me certainly will give results. Sangri Vritatmana. And then Srila Prabhupada, he writes about the 4 types of devotees: Artha, Artharthi, Jigyasu, Jnani. Even if one has some desires, his desires are never frustrated. So Lord, he makes sure that the devotee is ultimately brought close to his lotus feet. He may or may not frustrate the desires, but the ultimate result will be he will come to the lotus feet of Krishna. So that is how the is never frustrated means it is not that his material desires will not be frustrated. He may be frustrated in his material desires, but that frustration will bring him close to Krishna. So that is how Lord works. So that is the beauty in which Lord works. It's like a loving father. He may chastise, he may punish the child, but the reason is I want my child to, improve if he has done some mistake. So that is how it is constructive criticism, not destructive criticism. If somebody is doing some mistake and uh, authority is chastising in such a way that वो बोल रहा अब तो कुछ भी करूंगा ये नहीं करूंगा. That means we have not done justice. We have not raised the consciousness of that devotee. That is what Lord Vishnu does in the case of four Kumaras and Jai Vijay. He raised the consciousness of both of them. So that's how all our uh, punishments or criticisms or whatever feedback we give, that should raise the consciousness of a devotee, and devotee should feel that I think I should improve. So that's how the Lord may punish. He may frustrate the material desires also. He may or may not. What decides? Prabhupada writes in the next previous line. He never allows anything which will be detrimental to the individual's devotional service. Adhanoyam dhanam prapya madhyam uccayir namam smaret iti karuniko nunam dhanam me bhuri nadadat. That was my thinking. क्यों नहीं दिया धन? माध्यम उच्चर. I'll be proud of my wealth. Namam smaret. मेरा भजन नहीं करेगा. That's why Krishna didn't give me. So now after telling this, I have already arranged for your desires to be fulfilled. How I have arranged. So Lord gives the details of how Kardamuni's desires will be fulfilled. Prajapati Sutas Samran Mano Vikhyata Mangalaha Brahmavartyam Yodivasan
Yo adhivasam Shakti.
The Emperor Swayambhu Manu, the son of Lord Brahma, who is well known for his righteous act, has his seat in Brahmavata and rules over the earth with his 7 oceans.
He starts a description of how he has fulfilled the desires. So Prabhupada writes, Brahmavarta is a part of Kurukshetra, or that Kurukshetra itself is situated in Brahmavarta. Because devatas are recommended to perform spiritual ritualistic activities in Kurukshetra. But in others' opinions, Brahmavarta is a place in Brahmaloka where Swayambhuva ruled. So basically, Brahmavarta is a Bhumandal, a part of Bhumandal, where this Swayambhuva Manu is ruling. And Prabhupada gives some other reasons, some other opinions, what people say about this. And then Prabhupada focuses on this word, Mangalaha. Vikhyat Mangalaha. Second line says, Mangal means one who is elevated in every respect in the opulence of religious performance, ruling power, cleanliness, and all other good qualities. That is Mangala. So Swayambhuva Manu was elevated in good qualities and all the opulences. He had everything by the mercy of the Lord. Okay. Sacheha Viprarajarshi Vishya Shatarupaya Ayasyati Drikshustva Parashvodha Kopidaha.
The day after tomorrow, O Brahmana, the celebrated emperor, who is expert in religious activities, will come here with his queen Satarupa, wishing to see you.
So now he's telling the exact date also. कभी आएंगे, किसके साथ आएंगे? आत्मजाम असितापांगीम
Atmajam asitam pangim Ayashila
मृगयन्ति पतिं दास्यति
Mrugayati Patindasya
अनुरूपाय ते प्रभो.
Anurupayate Prabhu.
Grown-up daughter whose eyes are black is ready for marriage and she has good character and all good qualities. She is also searching for a good husband. My dear sir, her parents will come to see you who are exactly suitable for her just to deliver their daughter as a wife.
Yeah, special word here is, what? Prabhu. Lord is telling Karda Muni as Prabhu. क्यों प्रभु बोल रहे हैं? Because he is going to be his father in the future. So that's why he's calling Prabhu, giving respect to would-be father. So Atmajam, his daughter is Asita Pangi, black-eyed one. Vaya Sheela Gunanvitam, she is ready for marriage. And Sheela Gunanvitam, good character and all the good qualities. Mrigayanti, she is also searching for a husband. And Anurupa, exactly suitable for her, who is that she is searching for that husband. So the Lord is actually introducing the quality of his devotee that aap mein ye sab gun hai. She is searching for a good husband and you have all the qualities suitable for a good husband. So again Prabhupada writes here about the selection of good husband and the duty of the parents. The selection of good husband for a good girl was always entrusted to the parents. It is clearly stated that Manu and his wife were coming to see Karda Muni to offer their daughter, because daughter was well qualified and the parents were searching a suitable man. This is the duty of parents. The girls are never thrown into the public street to search their husbands. When the girls are grown up and searching after boy, they forget to consider whether the boy they select is suitable for them. It is only because of the urge of sex desire they may accept anyone. So that's how Prabhupada writes some Vedic perspectives of why free marriage or whatever is happening, it is not allowed in the Vedic times, because when the person is young, they may not see the qualities. There is a Subhashit which says, in a marriage, what happens? I'm forgetting the verse. Says, this verse says, Kanya varayate rupam mata vittam pita shrutam bandhava kulam icchanti mishtanannam mitare jana. कन्या वरयते रूपम, कन्या को क्या चाहिए? सुंदर होना चाहिए। माता वित्तम, माता क्या देखती है? कितना धन है इसके पास। पिता श्रुतम, कितना पढ़ा हुआ है वो पिताजी देखते हैं। एंड बांधव क्या देखते हैं? कुलम इच्छन्ति, अच्छे परिवार का, अपने कास्ट वाला है कि नहीं। और जो शादी में आते हैं वो लोग क्या, मिष्टान्नम, खाने के लिए क्या? So that is how marriages are. Okay, next verse. समाहितं ते हृदयं
समाहितं ते हृदयं
यत्रेमान् परिवत्सरान्
यत्रेमान्
सा त्वां
परिवत्सरन्
ब्रह्म नृपा वधूः
ब्रह्मण्यं
काममाशु भजिष्यति।
काममाशो भजिष्यति।
that princess, holy sage, will be just the type you have been thinking of in your heart for all these long years. She will soon be yours and will serve you to your heart's content.
So Lord knows all the desires of all the living entities. बोल रहे कितने सालों से सोच रहे आप उसके बारे में, आपके लिए पूरा perfect match है ये। Prabhupada writes, the Lord awards all benedictions according to the heart's desire of a devotee. So the Lord is here informing. Only by the Lord's grace one can get a nice wife just as he desires. Similarly, it is only by the God's grace that the girl gets a husband suitable to her heart. Thus, it is said that if we pray to Supreme Lord in every transaction of our material existence, everything will be done very nicely and just suitable to our heart's desires. It may not be palatable to us in some situations, because Krishna makes sure that in all situations, if we are not remembering Krishna, he will put us in situations where we will remember him. So better to remember him. Otherwise, Lord will force us to remember him, because that is, Lord knows this is the best thing for this devotee. So he's forgetting me, I'll put him in a situation where he can remember me. So that's how we have to learn to depend on the Lord in all situations. And that's how different people they advance in different situations. Some people advance when they're in prosperity, some people advance when they're in poverty. It depends on the consciousness. When they're just like Sudama, he was attached to being poor. So Lord placed him in a prosperity. So that he was always thinking, oh, I was so fallen. That's why Lord has put me in this situation. He remembered Krishna more. So that's how any situation we are put in, we should always have this understanding. Lord has personally placed me in this situation so that I can grow in my consciousness, especially for a devotee. For a non-devotee, Krishna still desires his or her welfare, but he does it in an indirect way through material energy. But for a devotee, Lord personally takes care of him or her. In many places, Krishna says, I personally do this. I personally protect my devotee. Any verse in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna is saying, I personally do this for my devotee. Aham. कहाँ पे आता है ये शब्द? बहुत बार आता है. हामी aham. और अनन्या चिंतयन्तो माम में आता है ना. हाँ, और कहाँ पे आता है? तेषाम aham samudbharta. I personally deliver. So Lord, patram pushpam yome tad aham bhakti upahritam. I personally accept it. So he's not sending anyone, hey, bhai, leke aao, offering kar raha hai koi. No, he personally goes and accepts it. So all the situations which a devotee goes through, that is personally orchestrated by the Lord. So every situation which comes in the life of a devotee, either occasion of celebration or a lamentation, we should know for sure it is arranged by the Lord. And if we are in that mood, then we can come close to the Lord in that situation. Of course, it is not so easy, easier said than done, but that is what Krishna wants us to understand. That is what Tatte Anukampa. That's what Narad Muni told. Anyone remembers that first verse? First canto verse, हमने वो याद किया क्या? वहाँ पे आए नहीं है ना अभी तक हम लोग. Narad Muni when his mother dies. तो क्या बोलते हैं वो? It is extreme mercy. क्या है वो श्लोक? हाँ. तदा तदा मीशस्य भक्तानां शम अभिप्सितः अनुग्रहम मन्यमाना. अनुग्रह हो गया. अनुग्रह मतलब extreme mercy, not just ordinary kripa. Anugrah. Anugrah is a very superlative word.
Probably though we hear like anything whenever difficulties come, it's mercy of the Lord, but when the difficulties come, we are not able to think that it is mercy of the Lord. We get agitated and we get disturbed.
Yes, it is natural to.
Mercy of the Lord. It's very difficult.
Yeah, it is natural to get disturbed in the beginning, but the mature devotee very quickly understands and analyzes the whole situation and tries to be in that consciousness consciously. And for a perfected sage, for a pure devotee, advanced devotee, it comes automatically. But for a sadhaka, we may be disturbed in the beginning, but we have to very quickly come to this understanding. Kuch bhi ho, there is a plan of the Lord. So I have to find out what Lord wants me to do in this situation. If I'm not able to understand myself, I'll take help of some other senior devotee. They can give me direction. Otherwise, they should be very clear. जो भी होता है devotee के जीवन में, that is arranged by the Lord so that we can rise to the next level. So that is the baseline understanding which everybody should have. Prabhupada writes, the fulfillment of desires, therefore, should be entrusted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the nicest solution. Nicest solution. The Karta Muni desired only a wife, but because he was a devotee, the Lord selected a wife for him. Who was emperor's daughter? मतलब भगवान करेंगे तो अच्छा ही करेंगे ना. He chose the emperor's daughter for a sage. Thus, Karda Muni got a wife beyond his expectation. He was thinking कोई तो ब्राह्मणी साधारण सी मिल जाएगी. But emperor की बेटी है. So that is how Lord, मतलब भगवान देते हैं तो फिर चप्पड़ फाड़ के देते हैं. If we depend on the choice of the Supreme Person, we'll receive benedictions in greater opulence than we desire.
Only Kadamban, Brahmaji told to get married, or he was having even desire.
नहीं वो last time discuss किया ना.
Brahmaji
It was the instruction of Brahma.
everything is going on that he desires long years, he was desiring.
Yeah, because long years means because Brahmaji gave instructions, so he started desiring. अभी मुझे शादी करना है. 10,000 years he is doing tapasya, but in the back of the mind he has okay चलो अच्छी पत्नी मिलनी चाहिए ताकि सेवा हो ठीक से. So then Prabhupada writes about Anulom and Pratilom marriage. So Anulom marriage means Anulom Vilom wala nahi. Anulom marriage means the son of a Brahman boy of a higher caste and a girl of a lower caste. Brahmana boy and Kshatriya wife is okay. उल्टा नहीं होना चाहिए, प्रतिलोम नहीं होना चाहिए. So here Prabhupada is writing it is Anulom marriage because Kardamuni was a Brahman and Swayambhu Manu was a Kshatriya. So therefore intercaste marriage was current even in those days. What is writing here? And then वहां पे उल्टा कब हो गया? Prabhupada is giving example of Yati and Devyani. नहीं Devyani ना Sharmishta. Sharmishta was Shukracharya's daughter. Okay. So okay, next verse. Translation we can read.
She will bring forth 9 daughters from the seed sown in her by you. And through the daughters you beget, the sages will duly beget children.
Next.
With your heart cleansed by properly carrying out my command, resigning to me the fruits of all your acts, you will finally appoint me.
So again and again, Lord is assuring, don't worry, you will come to me. Vamcha samyak anusthaya. Because you are carrying out the orders very properly, nidesham sa ushattamaha, you will be cleansed of all the material entanglements. Mai tirthi krita shesha. Tirthi krit means after resigning all your actions, ultimately you will attain me. Kriyartho mam parpatsyase. You will attain me. So Prabhupada focuses on this word. Tirthi kritashesha kriyartha. Tirth means a sanctified place where charity is given. People go to pilgrimage and give charity. This is still current. Therefore, Lord said, in order to sanctify your activities and the results of your actions, you will offer everything to me. Yat karoshi yadashnasi yadjohoshi dadashi yat tapasyasi tat kurusho madarapanam. So Prabhupada quotes that verse. So all the things should be offered to the Lord. Yagyarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karmabandha. If you are not offering to the Lord, that activity binds a person. So that is the instruction where Lord is here also giving the same instruction. Because you will be offering everything to me, you will not be bound. So that is the baseline understanding of Nishkama Karma Yoga. Offer results to Krishna, and you will be free from the effects of the things. Prabhupada quotes, Maharaj Yudhishthir welcomed Narad Muni. Wherever you are present, that place is sanctified because the Lord is always in your heart. I don't know which verse it is. Yudhishthir Maharaj welcomed Narad Muni. 7th Canto mein kahin paya hoga. I'm not sure. Similarly, if we act in Krishna consciousness under the direction of the Lord and his representatives, everything is purified. कृत्वादयां च जीवेषु तत्तत्त्वा च भयमात्मवान् मय्यात्मानं सह जगत् द्रक्ष्यस्यात्मनि चापि माम्.
Showing compassion to all living entities, you will attain self-realization, giving assurance of safety to all. You will perceive your own self as well as all the universes in me and myself in me.
Yeah, this is a very interesting verse. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur gives another different meaning to this. Kritva dayam cha bhuteshu, showing compassion to all the living entities. That means the level of a madhyam devotee, madhyam adhikari. Dattva cha abhayam atmavan, and you will attain self-realization. You will attain the level of uttam adhikari. And then you will see me in everything and everything in me. What does it mean? You will perceive your own self and as well as all the universes in me. So all the universes are where? They come from where? कहाँ से आते हैं? Mahavishnu, Karanodaksha Vishnu. So he's saying you will see Karanodaksha Vishnu and myself in you. वो कहाँ पे है? You will see Shirodaksha Vishnu also. You'll see Paramatma also and you'll see Mahavishnu also. So that's what Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur also writes. First, you will see me in the form of first Purusha with 1,000 heads. First, you will see me in the form of the first Purusha with 1,000 heads, and you will see thousands of universes in my hair holes along with yourself. That means you will see Karanodaksha Vishnu. You will now you know me as Antaryami. But then you will directly see me as Antaryami. अभी तो आप जान रहे हैं, अभी बाद में देख भी लेंगे. I'll show you all things created and uncreated. Another meaning he's saying, esoteric meaning. You will see in my child from the universe along with Yashoda. And you will see in yourself all the gopis did. So that's how he's telling you will see me in my form as a child in which I showed Yashoda all the universes. Then he quotes a verse from 10th Canto. One gopi took the Lord through the aperture of her eyes and placed him within her heart. Then with her eyes closed, bodily hair standing on end, she continuously embraced him within. This is Ras Panchadhyaya verse. So he's saying you will see me in that form also. Okay. And then Srila Prabhupada writes, the simple process of self-realization for every living entity is described here. The first principle to be understood is that this world is a product of supreme will. So everything is made by the will of the Lord. And why Lord is willing like this? Because we will like this. We desire, so Lord facilitates our desires. So that supreme, powerful autocrat, supreme independent Lord, he is working hard to fulfill the desires of insignificant living entity. That's how the Lord is so very merciful. He is not saying, who are you? Why I should help you? You are not cooperating with me. But he is there to facilitate all the desires, hoping that someday he will turn to me. That is the hope the Lord has. Someday this person, this jiva will turn to me. So let's now fulfill his desires. I think last week we discussed same thing, as a purport mein. So Lord, why Lord fulfills the desires? Hoping that someday he will turn to me. Otherwise, इसको नहीं दूंगा तो फिर आगे devotee नहीं बन पाएगा. He'll leave my bhakti. So that is how Lord is so very merciful. Prabhupada writes, there is an identity of this world with the Supreme Lord. This identity is accepted in a misconceived way by impersonalists. So impersonalists, they think Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya, we are that God. They accept the world and everything in it to be the Lord. That is pantheism. They say, some Bhagwan hai. I am also God, you are also God. They consider everything to be Lord. That is impersonalistic view. But those who are personal devotees, they take everything as the property of the Lord. They use everything in service of the Lord. And this principle is called as using everything in service of the Lord. That is called as Yukta Vairagya. So that is how a devotee uses everything. But while using this principle of Yukta Vairagya, a devotee should be very careful. Otherwise, if we are not careful, Vairagya will go and Yukta will remain. So we'll keep using everything for our own satisfaction. So we have to be really careful. Then Prabhupada writes how the Lord is the support and the basis of everything. He quotes the verse, Matta parataram nanyat, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagadabhyakta murtina, Matsthani sarva bhutani nachaham teshu avastitah. Prabhupada quotes this, paraphrases this verse. I am in them, they are in me, but I am not in them. So Prabhupada focuses on this theme in this paragraph. And then in the third paragraph, Prabhupada describes the three classes of devotees. Because in this verse, the three classes of devotee, two classes of devotee have come. Kritva Daya. Daya means Madhyamadhikari, shows mercy. And Dattva Cha Abhayam, he is self-realized, that is Uttamadhikari. So Prabhupada quotes about the Madhyam, Uttam and Kanishta in the third paragraph. And then in the fourth paragraph, Prabhupada writes, it is indicated here that Karda Muni was directed by the Lord to be very liberal and compassionate in his householder's life and to give assurance to the people in his renounced life. So that is the role of a householder and a renunciant. A sannyasi is meant to give enlightenment. He should travel from home to home. The householder may become absorbed in family affairs. So sannyasi, it is a duty of the sannyasi to awaken such conditioned souls who are not devotees. As soon as one becomes a devotee, he is convinced that he is protected by the Lord. Jiva Goswami, somewhere he writes that in this, there are three Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttam. In every stage, there are further three classifications. Kanishta, 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 Madhyam, Kanishta, Uttam. Madhyam, Kanishta, Madhyam, Madhyam. So that's how he further classifies all these three categories. And the lowest one is Kanishta, Kanishta. His symptom is he is very embarrassed to chant and tell that I am a devotee. I am practicing. So he hides from everyone. Because he is not fixed in the philosophy yet. Okay. And then Prabhupada writes in the next paragraph, fearlessness is the quality of sannyasi. In the Bhagavad Gita, there's 16th chapter, Abhayam Satvasham Suddhir Jnana Yoga Vyavasti, that's how it starts. Abhaya is the first quality. And that quality is the quality designated for a sannyasi primarily and for all the devotees in general. Because fearlessness has to come in the devotee. When one starts practicing bhakti, he gets assurance that Krishna is there to protect me. Avashya Rakshibe Krishna. So that fearlessness has to come. Now, यस्यां वै श्रूयमाणायां कृष्णे परमपुरुषे भक्तिरुत्पद्यते पुंसां शोक मोह भय अपः. We have memorized this verse?
Yes.
So that is shoka, moha and bhaya. So bhaya has to go away. A devotee has to become fearless. If he is not becoming fearless, then there is some problem in the practice. If he is really thinking of his material situation every time, that means not depending on Krishna. So that means not understood the philosophy properly. So Prabhupada writes about that. And then Prabhupada writes some of the basic duties of a sannyasi and a householder, and how sannyasi should earn money by business and spend at least 50% of his income to spread Krishna consciousness. So बड़ा चीज है ना 50%. मतलब how to understand it? कैसे आप लोग बोलते हैं, मतलब if you have to tell devotees, मतलब ये principle, how to practically apply this principle current times.
बहन है ही already.
Somebody asked, मुझे 50% मतलब possible ही नहीं. So how to understand and apply, मतलब हम लोगों ने बोला रहेगा ना कभी किसी को, क्या बोलते हैं आप? कुछ नहीं बोलते हैं. I just want to hear, मतलब क्या, how to practically.
Principle of charity is there.
Hmm.
It has to be spent, and this is not enforced, and it is for the self. So the principle is very clearly mentioned in the Gaudiya Vaishnava. Swami gives a clear principle here. But it is up to the devotees how they want to by 25. So the rules are made in the Christian faith where 10% they give to the church. So that is a forced thing. Here we are not forcing anything. This is a principle, and with the inspiration thing, what they can follow that. If somebody really wants to follow that, a gradual charity rather than a sentimental way of doing that. So there is also a word where mentioned that the charity should pinch the person. So
ऐसा भी बोलते हैं ना कि कृष्णा वो नहीं देखते कि कितना दिया है, कृष्णा देखते हैं कितना रखा है आपके पास. ऐसा कहीं लिखा है क्या ये, या फिर ऐसा ये डिवोटीज का इंटरप्रिटेशन है? I guess I have not read.
say it is just to inspire and create fear, whichever.
Yes, yes.
What is your thought process?
No, I have no thought process. I just wanted to hear. I was just searching for one. I read some, anecdote. Prabhupada किसी को बोलते हैं कि कितना देना चाहिए. It should not be forced. It is voluntary. It is not for you to tell them. They should decide how much, and same thing. And they should feel that I am giving some substantial. इतना दे सकते हैं. So Prabhupada writes, he was talking to some devotee. I was just searching that. So I didn't find, but I'll put on the group if I find that conversation.
Somebody said that some devotees have a confusion whether it's before that direction or
क्या before that? तो टैक्स वाला बचा के हम इधर दे देते हैं.
आप जितना है वो मेरा है.
Hare Krishna. Actually, there is one organization, somebody was telling that वो अपने followers बोलते हैं, देखो आप ट्रेन में ट्रैवल करते हो, टिकट मत लाओ. टिकट का जो भी पैसा है ना, वो हमको दान दे दो. So मतलब उनका क्या है, लॉजिक इज, सी आवर स्टैटिस्टिक्स इज, महीने में आपको कम से कम 1 या 2 बार ही पकड़ेगा वो, ये स्टैटिस्टिक्स है. तो उसमें आप फाइन भी भरेंगे ना तो आपको कम ही लगने वाला है. तो मेरे को टैक्स वाले से याद आया वो. एनीवेज, ओके. So in that purport of 3 classes of devotees, Prabhupada talks about Bhajananandi and Goshthanandi. So second class devotee is a Goshthanandi, Madhyam, and Uttam Adhikari, although he sees everybody with equal vision, but to preach he comes to the level of a Madhyam. So because of Uttam Adhikari, he does not see anyone as non-devotee. He doesn't make any distinctions. But he has to come to the level of Madhyam to reach this process of Krishna consciousness. Okay. And then Prabhupada writes, where? In that same paragraph of fearlessness, a person who is a householder but is initiated by the sannyasi has the duty to spread Krishna consciousness at home. As far as possible, he should call his friends and neighbors to his house and hold classes in Krishna consciousness. Holding a class means chanting the name of Krishna, holy name, and speaking Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. There are immense literatures for spreading Krishna consciousness. It is a duty of each and every householder to learn about Krishna from his sannyasi spiritual master. There is a division of labor. And then Prabhupada writes about charity. Next verse. Sahaham swamsha kalaya
साहं संस्करः
avashitre
महामित्रे
devahuti
तवक्षेत्रे हि देवहूत्या प्राणाय तत् संहिताम्
Shall manifest my affection to every portion through your wife, Devotee, along with your 9 daughters, and I shall instruct her in the system of philosophy that deals with the ultimate principles or categories. Hare Krishna, Panchang Pranam.
Saha aham. O great sage Mahamuni, I shall manifest swa amsha kalaya. I shall manifest my own plenary portion. Plenary means what? What is the meaning of why this word plenary is used? Anyone knows the meaning of plenary? ऐसा भी बोलते हैं plenary meeting of the parliament was scheduled. Have you heard anything? Plenary. Plenary means all the members of the parliament were present. Have to be present. So plenary means all the qualities of the Lord are present in this avatar. That's called as plenary portion. Although it is portion, but plenary means all the qualities are present. So this word comes many times. Prabhupada uses this word many times. Plenary. Swa amsha kalaya tvad viryena, through your semen, Mahamuni, tava kshetre, through your wife, Devahuti, along with your 9 daughters. I shall manifest along with your 9 daughters. And what I'll do? Praneshye, I shall instruct. What I'll instruct? Tattva Samhita. So Tattva Samhita means Sankhya philosophy. Then Prabhupada writes in the purport, there are 2 kinds of Sankhya, atheistic Sankhya and theistic Sankhya. So that's why Prabhupada, when he wrote this book, Teachings of Lord Kapila, he wrote under, what is the, under छोटे में लिखा हुआ क्या बोलते हैं subtitle, the son of Devahuti, because there was another Kapila who was not avatar of the Lord and he spoke atheistic philosophy. So that's what Prabhupada writes here, 2 kinds of philosophy he writes in the purport. And then Prabhupada writes about what is Kala, what is Amsha, what is Vibhinnamsha, Swamsha. Swamsha means direct expansion. Kala means expansion from the expansion. So all that. Then Prabhupada writes, there is no difference between them. In Hare Krishna mantra, this Ram is what?
Raman, Radha Raman
बलम
और Balram.
एक मिनट हाँ क्या ऑनलाइन somebody saying
हाँ रमन रमन और
बलराम
बलराम जी.
रमन और बलराम जी.
मतलब आनंद देने वाले रमन, ऐसे राधा रमन जो है वो भी और बलराम जी भी.
बलराम जी भी हैं और राम जी वो वाले राम है कि कौन से वाले राम है? सीता वाले राम है कि बलराम और कोई दूसरे वाले राम है?
राम दूसरे राम है, सीता वाले
दूसरे राम.
नहीं.
Okay. Yes, anyone else?
बलराम.
बलराम है. अच्छा. तो हम लोग बोलते हैं सोर्स ऑफ ऑल प्लेजर राम. क्या है वो? राम राम रामेति, वो क्या है उसमें बोलते हैं, और उसमें वो सोर्स ऑफ प्लेजर ही बोलते हैं राम मीन्स, तो उसमें वो वाले राम नहीं है. सो प्रभुपाद ना सीसी में 2 जगह पे लिखते हैं ये. एक तो फर्स्ट, एक तो इसमें नित्यानंद फर्स्ट आदि लीला फर्स्ट चैप्टर फर्स्ट कैंट मतलब सॉरी आदि लीला के 5th चैप्टर में जिसमें नित्यानंद प्रभु का डिस्क्रिप्शन है उसमें बोलते हैं one time there were two sannyasis fighting and they came to me over this issue कि राम है कौन बलराम है कि राम है so Prabhupada said they both were wrong they are if somebody is differentiating between the avatars that means they have not understood Vishnu Tattva. So either you say it is Ram or Balram, it is same. Vishnu Tattva, there is no contradiction. कोई भी तत्व लीजिए विष्णु तत्व मतलब सेम है तो उसमें कभी भी कोई कंफ्यूजन नहीं होना चाहिए देयर शुड बी नो आर्ग्यूमेंट and second time it comes in when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there in South India in the house of Venkat Bhatti वहां पे भी वो बोलते हैं पहले तो पूरा उनको हम्बल करते हैं कि आपकी लक्ष्मी इधर कैसे जा रही है क्या है ये फिर देन वो बोलते हैं आमी क्या वो आमी जीव शुद्र बुद्धि सहज स्थिर ईश्वरेर लीला कोटि समुद्र गंभीर ऐसा करके वेंकट भट्ट से प्लीज यू टेल मी सो देन लॉर्ड पैसिफाइज में चिंता मत करो एक्चुअली सब सेम ही है ना आइदर यू से कृष्णा और विष्णु दे आर सेम सो देयर आल्सो ही सेज one should not distinguish between two avatars of the Lord. They are all same. If somebody is distinguishing, that means they have not understood Vishnu Tattva. So either Swamsha or Kala or जो भी है, but intelligent devotee should never make distinction. ये तो कला की पूजा करते हैं, हम तो स्वयं भगवान कृष्ण की पूजा कर रहे हैं. So that is offense. ईश्वरत्वे भेद मानिले होए अपराध याद आ गया मेरे को I'll find out the verse. ईश्वरत्वे भेद मानिले होए अपराध so, वहां पे प्रभुपाद वहां पे लिखते हैं ईश्वरत्वे so this is Madhya Lila 9th chapter 154th verse गोपी द्वारा लक्ष्मी करे कृष्ण संगास्वाद ईश्वरत्वे भेद मानिले होए अपराध and then after two verses Prabhupada writes sometimes foolish people ask whether we chant Ram in Hare Krishna mantra refers to Ramchandra or Balaram. If a devotee says the name Ram is Balaram, a foolish person may become angry because to him Lord Ram is Lord Ramchandra. Actually, there is no difference between Balaram and Lord Ram. It does not matter whether one refers to Balaram or to Lord Ramchandra. There is no difference. Only neophyte devotee who do not understand Shastric conclusions unnecessarily create an offensive situation. So that is how.
So, Rudy, in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, what I understood and from what Krishna is all attractive Lord.
Yes.
And Rama is also name of that Krishna, who is Ramana. Who is
that is also there. That is also there.
So in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that is what I understood. That is what is the focus, and from the our Gaudiya Vaishnava this thing. This is the Mahamantra given, and this is what it means.
Correct.
And Balaram, Ram, yes, they all could be, but in this mantra, that is what I understood. So
that is right understanding, Praji. That is perfect. So, oh Radharani, please engage me in service of Krishna, who is all attractive and is source of all pleasure. So, the source of all pleasure को कोई बोलेगा नहीं राम है, नहीं बलराम है, तो that is offensive. Because ultimately, these are all Vishnu Tattva. Ishwaratve bhed manile. Either you call Krishna or Vishnu or Ram or Balaram. Ultimate sense, they are all similar, same personalities. So, Tattva wise, they are same. Rasa wise, we can have some, discussions based on the sampradaya where we are coming in. But Tattva we should never forget. The Tattva wise, they are all same. There should be no confusion, no fight amongst Vaishnavas. ये तो विष्णु की पूजा कर रहे हैं, हम तो कृष्ण की पूजा कर रहे हैं. Tattva wise, we should never have any confusions and fights. All the rasa we can keep for our nourishment in our sampradaya. But tattva-wise, we should be having this understanding that they are all Vishnu tattva or they are all similar, they are same. No confusions in that. So when we are talking to other Vaishnava sampradayas, we should be very careful. Otherwise, in the past, people have created some problems. भाई ये क्या है, ये आप तो इनकी पूजा कर रहे हैं, हम तो ज्यादा रसिक हैं, हम तो गोलोक तक जाएंगे. Okay, we may be right in our understanding, but we should be very careful. Otherwise, it becomes offensive. That is not the Vaishnava way.
The Prabhupada में quote करते हैं ना कि I was here somewhere कि 1,000 times of Vishnu name
वो तो है ना. Yes, वो तो इसमें भी बोलते हैं ना क्या? सहस्त्र नाम विस्तुल्यम राम नाम वरानने. उसके बाद वाले में आता है नहीं, उसके पहले आता है ना, 1000 विष्णु के नाम भगवान राम का एक नाम के बराबर होता है ना. ओ सॉरी, और उसके नेक्स्ट वाले में आता है कि ये आई थिंक सीसी में एक जगह कोट करते हैं, 3 भगवान के 3 राम के 3 नाम इज 1 कृष्ण नाम. सो वो भी है. सो ऑल दीज आर देयर. वो उसी में आता है जब वो चैतन्य महाप्रभु वो मिलते हैं ना रामदास विपर को, एंड ही वाज लैमेंटिंग हाउ कृष्णा कैन बी टच्ड बाय रावण, sorry, Sita can be touched by Ravan. So in that series, Prabhupada quotes all these verses. He knew, he was very expert in the Siddhanta of Lord Ram. And he was attracted to Lord Ram. So, sorry, उसमें नहीं आता है. उसमें उसके पहले एक डिवोटी को मिलते हैं. He was a devotee of Lord Ram from birth. और हमेशा राम राम ही जप करते थे. महाप्रभु से मिले और महाप्रभु वापस आए तो कृष्ण नाम जप रहे हैं. So he said, how is this? He said, अभी तक तो राम नाम लिया था, I am expert राम नाम, but after I have met you, helplessly I am chanting Krishna नाम. So in that purport, Prabhupada writes this. वो सब है. Okay, and we'll continue. Third verse. मैत्रेय उवाच एवं तम अनुभाष्याथ भगवान् प्रत्यगक्षजः
भगवान् प्रत्यगक्षज
सरसः
जगाम बिंदु सरसा
परीक्षितात्.
सरस्वत्या परीक्षिता.
Maitreya went on, thus having spoken to Kardama Muni, the Lord who reveals himself only when the senses are in Krishna consciousness, departed from that lake called Bindu Sarovar, which was encircled by the river Saraswati.
So Prabhupada focuses on this word pratyakshaja. He is imperceptible to material senses, but still he can be seen. Which verse in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu says this? Lord cannot be perceived by the material senses. Anyone remembers? Ataha Sri Krishna Namadi Grahyam Indriyai. तो कैसे होगा? सेवोन्मुखे जिह्वादौ. So स्वयमेव स्फुरत्यम्. So Lord is adhokshaja, cannot be perceived by material senses. But that adhokshaja Lord can be seen by one who has the eyes, who is anointed with the salve of love. Premanjana Chutta Bhakti Lochanina. Prabhupada writes about that. No one can hear the name form of Krishna. It is not possible. Then how he can be seen? When one is trained in devotional service and renders service unto him. Gradually the senses are purified, and with purified senses one can understand, one can see, one can hear, and so on. Translation, next verse.
While the sage stood looking on, Lord left the pathway leading to Vaikuntha, a path extolled by all great liberated souls. The sage stood listening as the hymns forming the basis of the Samaveda were vibrated by the flapping wings of Lord's carrier, Garuda.
So when Garuda flies with the flaps of its wings, Samaveda is heard. So that's how the 34th this verse describes. Prabhupada writes, two wings of the transcendental bird Garuda represents Samaveda's two divisions, Brihat and Rathantara. Then last few lines. These Samved utterances are automatically heard by the devotee when another great devotee flaps his wings. Marganti yatte mukpadma nidai chandai suparnai rishayo viviktai yasyagamarashod saridvaya param padam tirtha padam prapannaha. So this is one of the beautiful prayers spoken by all the personified devtas. क्यों प्रार्थना करते हैं सब personified devta, sense devtas? Anyone remembers why all these personified sense devtas? सबसे पहले कारण सृष्टि में बने ना? Anyone remembers two types of सृष्टि? सर्ग का दो प्रकार होता है.
कारण सृष्टि कार्य सृष्टि.
कहाँ से कहाँ तक होता है कारण और कहाँ से कार्य?
The elements are created, karma. Then for the amalgamation.
Yes. So after the elements are created, all the sense devatas are standing helplessly. अब क्या करें? अभी तो अभी हो गया, अभी क्या करना है, कैसे बनाना है, अभी रेसिपी तो मालूम नहीं. So then they pray to the Lord. So one of the beautiful verses they praise Marganti yatte. बहुत अच्छा meaning है उसका. I'll just read that line by line. Marganti yatte mukpadma nidai. That is 3.541. The lotus feet of the Lord are the shelter of all places of pilgrimage. So the great clear-minded sages, Rishayo Viktai, the great clear-minded sages, what they do? They are carried by the wings of the Vedas. So just like the Samved are the wings of Garuda, Chandai Suparnai. So Garud ji ke बीच जो पंख हैं, they are golden. They are golden wings. Chandai Suparnai Rishayo Viviktai. So they are carried by the wings of the Vedas. So how the sages, just like the birds, they reach their nest by their wings. They are carried to the lotus feet of the Lord by the wings of the Vedas. Chandai Suparnai Rishayo Viviktai. So that is how the wonderful description is. And some take shelter of these lotus feet and get purified. Okay. Prabhupada writes in the purport, second paragraph, only those who are liberated from material bondage can become devotee of the Lord. Those who are not liberated can cannot understand transcendental devotional service. Yatatam api siddhanam. So how to understand this? Those who are not liberated cannot understand devotional service. Are we liberated? So can we understand?
You're trying to understand.
So मतलब लेकिन समझ नहीं सकते ना, जब तक लिबरेटेड नहीं होंगे तब तक नहीं समझ सकते, और जब तक भक्ति नहीं करेंगे तब तक लिबरेट नहीं होंगे, तो कैसे शुरू होगा? So unless one starts practicing bhakti, one cannot be liberated, and unless one is liberated, one cannot understand devotional service.
There are many persons who are trying to attain perfection. Striving for liberation. So they are also considered as trying.
With whatever understanding we have, with whatever faith we have, we start practice of bhakti, and by practice of bhakti, we gradually get liberated from the material bondage. So that is how the faith is required to develop knowledge. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Shraddhavan labhate gyan. Faith is required to develop transcendental knowledge, but knowledge will develop only if we have faith. So same logic. शुरू कहाँ से होगा? With whatever faith we have, start practicing and acquiring knowledge, and then Krishna's mercy will come and our faith will increase. So the same things are, these types of things come many times in Bhagavatam. Yatatam siddhanam kaschin mam veti tatvatah. Only a siddha can become devotee. So in one sense, if we see the process of devotional service is a very, very high stage. Now, after getting liberated, one starts practicing bhakti. Jnani is Brahmabhut Prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samas sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti labhate. Ultimately, वो ब्रह्मभूत होने के बाद भक्ति शुरू करता है. So that is the meaning of technical meaning of that verse. But Prabhupada वो पूरा अच्छे से भक्ति का इंटरप्रिटेशन में लिखते हैं. टेक्निकल मीनिंग इज ब्रह्मभूत होने के बाद भक्ति लभते होता है. So that is our fortune that even if we are not liberated, but still we have understood this process of devotional service and we are trying to follow and we are getting purified in due course of time. Then Prabhupada writes, it is also confirmed that the path of bhakti is worshipped by liberated persons, not the conditioned souls. So these are all very loaded verses, lines. Path of bhakti is worshipped by liberated persons. तो अभी आप कौन liberated हैं? We are worshipping the path of devotional service, right? हम लोग भक्ति की पूजा कर रहे हैं. यहाँ पे क्या लिख रहे हैं प्रॉपर? Here it is also confirmed that the path is worshipped by liberated persons, not the conditioned souls.
It's worship.
We are also worshipping, na?
Is in training.
So we are having this pure faith. With that pure faith, we are worshipping. So it is not required to be purified of the anarthas to worship the process of bhakti. Pure faith is required to worship the path of bhakti. So whenever such statements are given, we should understand purity of faith is required. Not purity of desire, purity of anarthas. Purity from anarthas, वो तो lifetimes लगेगा. Purity of faith, that is the fundamental basis to do bhakti.
Okay, faith is there, but they say.
Purity of faith means what?
Bhakti will also be.
Sorry?
Faith होना चाहिए. You will get bhakti. Obviously, that is a basic thing. But anarthas, it will take time to get. But if anarthas are there, I think bhakti will not.
It may go down. That is what we have to be careful of. Our pure faith may become mixed faith if we are not careful. So we have to be careful to keep our faith pure. Otherwise, that pure faith can become mixed faith under the influence of our anarthas and conditionings. And if we are not associating with devotees, then that pure faith may get contaminated with some other ulterior motives. It will become sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic bhakti. Now that is what Kapila Dev will describe in the coming chapters, the bhakti in three modes. They are mixed faiths, mixed devotion. Sattoguni bhakti, rajoguni bhakti, tamoguni bhakti. So as a practicing sadhaka, we have to protect our faith. Yahara komala shraddha, our faith may be komal at that time and current. So you have to protect it. Kartamuni was a liberated soul who saw Supreme Lord face to face. There was no doubt he was liberated. Thus he could see Garuda carrying the Lord. Okay. Translation next verse.
Then after the departure of the Lord, the worshipful sage Kadama stayed on the bank of the Sarovar, awaiting the time of which the Lord had spoken.
That is very interesting. When Lord gives benedictions, the results may not come immediately. We have to wait. We have to be patient. अभी तक अवतार भगवान ने अभी तक इतना बोल के चलेगा, अभी तो कुछ नहीं हो रहा है. देखो, it's just like when you're standing in the line for prasad. आधा घंटा लाइन में खड़े रहने के बाद फर्स्ट में प्लेट खाली प्लेट दे रहे, आधा घंटा खड़े रहने के बाद खाली प्लेट. व्हाट आगे तो बढ़ो. प्लेन राइस ले और the devotees is मेरे को लेना ही नहीं. आधा घंटा खड़ा रहने के बाद आप लोग खाली प्लेट दिया, पहले उस पे राइस, प्लेन राइस था. So gradually the results will come and in the end क्या मिलेगा? That is the कृष्ण प्रेम का जो अमृत है वो एंड में मिलता है. So we have to wait. We can't be impatient. इसलिए patient बोलते हैं ना. धैर्य. धैर्य रखिए. It will come in due course of time. We'll experience the change. So ये धैर्य से अभी प्रतीक्षा कर रहे हैं. Awaiting for the time. Tam kalam pratipalayan. The first canto that Narad Muni's episode, one very beautiful verse comes. Prabhupada writes, this verse represents the life of a devotee in nutshell. Anyone remembers that verse? नामान्यनन्तस्य हतत्र पठन् गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन् गां पर्यटन् तुष्टमनागतस्पृह कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सराः. Prabhupada writes, this verse is the nutshell, is the life of a devotee in nutshell. क्या है? नामानि अनंतस्य, he is chanting the glories of unlimited Lord. हतत्रप, he is not thinking वो क्या बोलेगा. He is not considering about what people are telling. Pathan, he is studying also. What he is studying? Guhyani Bhadrani, the most confidential, wonderful pastimes of the Lord. His smarana also, he is remembering. And Gam Paryatan, Narad Muni is moving. Sphitan, Janpadam, Statra, Khet, Kharvat, Vatischa, Vanani, Upavanani, बहुत सारे जगह घूमते हैं. So Prabhupada writes, a devotee, he sees the world, he is in the world, but he is not affected because he has no desires, nispriha. So, Guhyani, Bhadrani, Kritani, Gam Paryatan, Tushtamana, mind is satisfied, Gata Spriha, not desiring anything material, Kalam Pratikshan, he is waiting for his time to come. But in that wait, two things may happen. Vimado and Vimatsara. Mada means he may be proud of what he has achieved, or he may be envious of seeing what others have achieved. So devotee is Vimado and Vimatsara. He's never proud of whatever is given to him by the Lord, and he is not envious of seeing what others are receiving. So that is the life of a devotee. उसमें भी आता है कालम प्रतीक्षण, काल की प्रतीक्षा की है. Okay, so as he is predicting, awaiting, then next verse translation.
Sanjivamanu with his wife mounted his chariot, which was decorated with golden ornaments. Blessing his daughter on it with them, he began traveling all over the earth.
Okay, next verse.
O Vigura, he reached the hermitage of the sage, where just completed his vows of austerity on the very day foretold by the Lord.
Yes. भगवान ने बोला था एक दिन के बाद आ जाएंगे तो आ गए वहां पे एक दिन. So now 38 to 44 is the description of the hermitage of Kardam Muni. Yasmin Bhagavato Netran
भगवतो नेत्रान् व्यापदोपसुप्तं
Kripaya Samparitasya
कृपदा संप्रशिष्य
Arpitaya
यापसं
सर्वो नाम सरस्वत्या परिप्लुतम्
सरस्वत्या परिष्कृतं
शिवामृतजलम्
पुण्यं शिवामृतजलं महर्षि महर्षि
Its holy lake Bindu Sarovar, flooded by the waters of the river Saraswati, was restored by host of eminent sages. Its holy water was not only auspicious but as sweet as nectar. It was called Bindu Sarovar because drop of tears had fallen there from the eyes of Lord, who was overwhelmed by extreme compassion for the sage who had sought his protection. Hare Krishna. Jai Pranam.
यस्मिन् भगवतो नेत्रां न्यपतन् अश्रुबिन्दव. Ashrubinda means the drops of tears. Nyapatan, it had fallen. Yasmin, there, Bhagavato, from the eyes of the Lord. So Bindu Sarovar, why it is called as Bindu Sarovar? Because the drop of Lord's tears had fallen there. Why? What was the reason? Why Lord is crying? Kripaya samparitasya. He was overwhelmed by extreme compassion. Why he was so compassionate? Prapanne arpitaya, seeing the surrender of the great sage who sought his protection. Prapanne arpitaya bhrisham. And that's why this sage is, this kund is called as Tadvai Bindu Saronama. And then the glories of that kund is described. Punyam Shivamrita Jalam. The tears of the Lord are there. What can be more purifying than this? And the place was full of Maharshi Gana Sevitam. It was full of various sages. So Prabhupada writes, Kardam underwent austerities to gain causeless mercy of the Lord, and the Lord arrived there. When the Lord arrived there, he was so compassionate that in pleasure he shed the tears. Those tears are non-different from the Lord. Just as the drops of perspiration which fell from the toe of the Lord became Ganga, so the teardrops of the Lord became Bindu Sarovar. So first canto 18th chapter, the glories of Ganga are described. Yes, Yavai Lasashri Tulasi Vimishra Krishnang Rirenu Abhyadikam Punetri Punati Loka Nubhayatra Seshan Kastam Naseveta Marishyamana. Yavai Lasatsi Tulasi Vimishra, Ganga is mixed with the saffron and tulsi of the lotus feet of the Lord. Krishnangri Renu, dust of the feet of the Lord, and tulsi of the Lord also. So who will not worship Ganga? So that is all. That is Ganga. So Bindu Sarovar is called as Shivamrit Jal. Shiva means curing. Anyone who drinks this water of Bindu Sarovar becomes cured of all material diseases. Where is this Bindu Sarovar? कहाँ पे है? गुजरात में? No, I'm not sure. But I don't know this way. Bindu Sarovar. There is one Bindu Sarovar in वो अपना उड़ीसा में, भुवनेश्वर में, अनंत पद्मनाभ
That is
अनंत मंदिर है ना, उसके पास में बिंदु सरोवर. That बिंदु सरोवर is different. वो उसका स्टोरी अलग है. वो लॉर्ड शिवा इस यूनिवर्स की जितनी भी तीर्थ नदियां उससे एक एक बिंदु लाके वो सरोवर बनाई, इसलिए बिंदु सरोवर बोलते हैं.
बिंदु सरोवर अपना गोवर्धन पर बात करती है, परिक्रमा करते हैं तो बिंदु सरोवर.
हाँ, वो तो अलग होगा. ये वाला कहाँ पे पता नहीं है. आइडिया
गुजरात में तो मुझे तो मुझे हम लोग ले जाने बोलते हैं.
So
सरस्वती
यहाँ पे पास में, यहाँ पे बड़ौदा के पास में, बड़ौदा के पहले
लोग गए थे उधर नाथद्वारा के बाद बिलवाड़ा जा रहे थे. On the way, he was telling we will go to where this is where Karda Muni had done his.
अच्छा.
हाँ, yes.
We were going in vehicle and हमारे पास time
नहीं था हम लोग.
So he mentioned that time. Remembrance.
Yeah. Okay. So now the description of the hermitage of Kardamuni continues. Yes. Translation, 40th verse.
The shore of the lake was surrounded by the clusters of pious trees, and it was rich in fruits and flowers of all seasons that afforded shelter to pious animals and birds, which uttered various cries. It was adorned by the beauty of groves of forest trees.
Next verse. Okay, in this verse, Prabhupada writes, there are some pious trees and there are some impious trees. So pious trees means they have fruits and flowers. Impious trees means they have no fruits, no flowers. So most of the time, current government, they plant impious trees. Because fruit और flower वाले ट्री लगाएंगे तो लोग तोड़ के लेके जाएंगे. तो इसलिए ऐसे लगाते हैं जैसे जिसमें फूल भी नहीं आते हैं, फल भी नहीं आते हैं, खाली पत्तियां ही पत्तियां, and thorns are there. हाँ, वो भी इसलिए लगाते नहीं है ना. नहीं आते हैं उसमें, उसमें भी फल आते हैं लेकिन वो खा नहीं सकते, वैसे वाले हैं. बट दैट इज डिस्क्राइब्ड इन स्क्रिप्चर्स. अभी सम ट्रीज आर, सम थिंग्स आर इन स्क्रिप्चर्स, उसका रीजन तो, बट दे आर देयर. उसमें 64 लिम्स में ये भी है ना, वर्शिपिंग अश्वत्थ एंड पीपल. 64 limbs में है वो भी. Prabhupada writes, in the land surrounding Bindu Sarovar, there was not a single impious bird or a tree. Impious bird मतलब क्या है? Birds which are very nasty, such as crows and owls also. Okay, they are considered impious. Every bird sang the glories of the Lord. Hare Krishna mantra. Prabhupada तो कहीं पे भी chance मिलता है तो Prabhupada never leaves the chance to tell the ultimate. भाई Hare Krishna mantra is important. Okay, next verse, translation.
The area resounded with the notes of overjoyed birds. Intoxicated bees wandered there. Intoxicated peacocks proudly danced, and merry cuckoos called one another.
So the pious and the impious birds are described here. The beauty of the pleasant sounds heard in the sea is described. After drinking honey, the black bees become maddened and they hummed in intoxication. Merry peacocks danced just like actors and actresses. Okay, next verse translation.
Lake Bindu Sarovar was adorned by flowering trees such as Kadamba, Champaka, Soka, Karanjana, Bakula, Karanja, Bakula, Asna, Kunda, Andara, Kutuja, and young mango trees. The air was filled with the pleasing notes of
Karandava,
ducks, Pallavas, swans, rose, waterfall, rains, Chakravakas, and Chakoras.
The Prabhupada tries to translate most of the words in English. जिसका कुछ नहीं मिलता तो उसको वैसे ही लिख देते हैं. Prabhupada writes in some place, na? All these words cannot be translated into English, so please bear with this. Prabhupada एक जगह when CC में आता है, when all the symptoms of ecstasy, भाव और महाभाव वाला वो सब वर्ड्स है ना, उसमें प्रभु बोलते हैं there are no English translations available for these words. Okay, यहाँ पे भी लिखते हैं प्रभुपाद, English synonyms cannot be found for most. For most of the trees, fruits, flowers, birds mentioned here, English synonyms cannot be found. Prabhupada writes here. The sweet sounds of the waterfowl and the cranes made the surrounding areas as pleasant as possible and created a very suitable spiritual atmosphere. वो उसमें description of the Vaikuntha में आता है ना, kingdom of God, उसमें भी वो there is a verse describing the various birds, various flowers, उसमें भी बहुत सारे ऐसे ही हैं. मंदार कुंद कुरबोत्पल चंपकर्णा पुन्नाग नाग बकुलाम्बुज पारिजात गंधेर्चिते तुलसिका भरणेन तस्या यस्मिन् तपस्सु मनसो बहुमानयन्ति. उसमें बहुत सारे मंदार कुंद कुरव उत्पल चंपकर्ण. Then the animals surrounding that lake is described in the next verse. Yeah. 44. Translation.
Its shores abounded with deer, goats, porcupines, gavayas, elephants, baboons, lions, monkeys, mongooses, and musk deer.
Gavaya is a species of cow, bear a bunch of hairs at the end of their tails. जिसको चामर के लिए यूज करते हैं उसको गवया होता है. उसको ही बोलते होंगे गवया. प्रभुपाद तो यही लिख रहे हैं. तो याकटेल है तो yeah, that is common, but यहाँ पे प्रभुपाद writes that it is used in temple to worship to fan the deities. Gavayas are sometimes called like chamaris. Next verse is translation, please. After describing now in 45th to 47th verses, the beauty of Kardam Muni is described, and how Kardam Muni receives Manu, it is described in 44 to 49 verses. Translation.
Entering that most
Okay, we'll recite this first two verses. Shloka. Pravishyata tirthavaram Adiraja sahatmajah Dadarsham munimasinam Tasmin hutashanam
तदक्षामुदिमासितं
Vidyotamanam vapusha Tapsi ugra yujacharam Nadik bhagavataha
सात्मान
Snigdha pangavalokana Tadvyaritatmakala Amritakala Piyusha Shravanena cha Translation part.
entering that most sacred spot with his daughter and going near the place, the first monarchs, Shambhu Manu, saw the sage sitting in his hermitage, having just propitiated the sacred fire by pouring oblations into it. His body shone most brilliantly, though he had engaged in austere penance for a long time. He was not emaciated, for the Lord had cast his affectionate sidelong glance upon him, and he had also heard the nectar flowing from the moonlike words of the Lord. The sage was tall, his eyes were large, like the petals of a lotus, and he had matted locks on his head. He was clad in rags. Shambhu Manu approached and saw him to be somewhat soiled, like an unpolished gem.
Prabhupada writes, here are some descriptions of a brahmachari yogi. Pravishya, as he entered Swayambhu Manu, as he is traveling all over the earth with his wife Shatrupa and Devahoti, searching for a husband. Pravishya, they enter this Tirthvaram, the most sacred spot. Adi Raja Sahatmaja, the original monarch, along with his daughter. Dadarsha, they saw this Muni who was Asinam, who was seated. Tasmin, there, Hutashanam, just propitiated, just started the fire. And this person, he was effulgent, he was glowing. Vidyotmanam. And although Tapasi Ugrayuja, although he had performed austerity for a long time, he had not eaten anything, but still, Na Atik Shamam, he was not emaciated. Why he was not emaciated? Snigdha Apanga Avalokana. A person who is glanced by the Lord, he is nourished by the Lord. A famous story of अपना गोवर्धन में कौन है? पुच्छरी का लोटा बाबा. He is nourished by the remembrance of the Lord, although he is not eating anything. So that is what is described, the story of Uchari ka lota. So tad vyamritatma kala, vyamritamrit kala. He had also heard. So two things. He had seen the Lord and he had heard the Lord. So these two things, they nourish a devotee. So that is Piyusha Shravanena. So that is how a devotee should absorb his mind in hearing the glories of the Lord and absorb his eyes in taking darshan of the Lord. That will nourish the spiritual body of a devotee. So that is the reason Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, although he was engaged in severe austerity, he was not too thin for two reasons. The Lord's glance and the Lord's words, which were completely filled with nectar from the moon. So that is how the devotee is nourished by the Lord. Externally, a devotee may become thin, but here it is described that he was not thin also. He was nourished completely. But even if the devotee is not so healthy externally, but is nourished by the remembrance of the Lord and nourished by the glance of the Lord. And when the person is mentally fit and fine, naturally the body remains, even if a person becomes thin, does not become, weak and does not get disease so easily. So that is how Snigdha Apang Apalo. So Prabhupada writes, those engaged in brahmacharya cannot sleep until 7 or 9 in the morning. प्रभुपाद एकदम बहुत सारा डिटेल में कभी कभी लिखते हैं. एक जगह भगवद गीता में लिखते हैं वन शुड वॉश द टीथ इन द मॉर्निंग. सुना है, पढ़ा है वो परपोर्ट. प्रभुपाद सब लिखते हैं शुड वॉश द टीथ, क्लीन योरसेल्फ आफ्टर रिस्पॉन्डिंग टू द नेचर्स कॉल, सब लिखते हैं. प्रभुपाद नोज 10,000 साल आगे वो क्या क्या करेंगे तो मालूम नहीं, लिखना पड़ेगा. They must rise early in the morning, at least 1.5 hours before the sun rises. They must chant the names of the Lord. And names of the Lord आ गया तो फिर हरे कृष्णा मंत्र तो बोलना ही है. So they should chant this Hare Krishna mantra also. Prabhupada writes, one who hears the transcendental sound vibration of the Lord also improves in health. We have actually seen that many brahmacharis and grihasthas connected with ISKCON have improved in health. And the luster has come to their faces. It is essential that brahmachari looks healthy and lustrous. The comparison of the sage to an unpolished gem is very appropriate. Unpolished gem. Even if the gem just taken from the mind looks unpolished, the luster of the gem cannot be stopped. Although Kardam was not properly dressed, his body was not cleansed, but overall he was like gem. So that's how a devotee is. Although externally they may not be dressed nicely, very luxuriantly, opulently, but they still look effulgent. They still look very glorious. Okay, now, so they see this sage and then they offer respects. Translation, 48th verse.
Seeing that the monarch had come to his hermitage and was going before him, the sage greeted him with benediction and received him with due honor.
So Swayambhu Manu not only approached the cottage, but also offered obeisances to Kardam Muni, because he is a Kshatriya and Kardam Muni is a Brahmana, he is a great sage in the jungle. So he's offering obeisances to Kardam Muni also. And then, remembering the words of the Lord, Kardam Muni addresses Manu. Translation, 49th verse and 50th verse.
After receiving the sage's attention, the king sat down and was silent, recalling the instructions of the Lord. Kardama then spoke to king as follows, delighting him with his sweet essence. The cruel you have undertaken, O Lord, is surely intended to protect the virtuous and kill the demons, since you embody the protecting energy of Sri Hari.
Palana Shakti, Hare Shakti hi Palini. Slakshnaya Gira, the 49th, there is a word, Slakshnaya. So whenever a great personality speaks, they speak in a way that nourishes the heart of the listener. They'll never speak in harsh way. That is how we have heard many disciples of Prabhupada saying like this, and all our current acharyas. Whenever they speak, just being near them, just hearing a single sentence from them nourishes the devotees. So that is a symptom of a great sage, great devotee of the Lord. They always speak in sweet tones, sweet accents. And that is what a devotee should learn also. To speak in a wonderful way, sweet way. So that the person who is listening, even if he is not a devotee, he may think, wow, kuch to acha laga inse baat karke. They are good people. So that's how a devotee is. So Prabhupada writes about the Palana Shakti, how the kings, they would protect the citizens, they would protect all the sages. Prabhupada writes about Paritranaya Sadhunam and all that. So from 50 to 56, Kardam Muni is now speaking to Manu. You surely intend to protect the virtuous and kill the demons. Next, he continues. Translation. 53rd, 51st verse.
To assume when necessary, the path of the sun god, the moon god, Agni, the god of fire Indra, the Lord of Paradise, Vayu, the wind god, Yama, the god of punishment, Dharma, the god of piety, and Varuna, the god presiding over the waters. All obeisances to you, who are none other than Lord Vishnu.
Who is wonderfully glorifying Swayambhu Manu. So this is very interesting. And what will happen, that is more interesting. How Swayambhu Manu responds to these praises. That is how a devotee or anyone should respond to the praises. So Kardamuni is now royally glorifying Swayambhu Manu. आप भगवान से कम है ही नहीं. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, you completely accept the form of sun and others in suitable way. You are the sun because of your majesty. You are the moon because of your fame. You are fire because of your invincibility. You are Indra because of your lordship. You are Vayu because you enter everywhere. You know what is happening in your kingdom. You are Yama because you punish the sinful. You are Dharma because you protect the righteous. And you are Varuna because you are deep and you have hidden treasure. Therefore, I offer respects to you. So that's how he's wonderfully glorifying all the qualities. And he says, actually, you are none other than Lord Vishnu. So Prabhupada clarifies this. Why he is calling him as Lord Vishnu. Kardam was Brahman and Swayambhu was a Kshatriya. Sage was not supposed to offer obeisances to king. But socially his position was greater than, because his position was greater than king. But he offered his obeisances to Swayambhu Manu because he is Manu. Ideally, he should not have offered. He's Brahmana, wo to Kshatriya hai. But he's offering obeisances, all obeisances. Tasmai Shuklayate Namaha. So wherever we see any spark of the Lord manifesting, we should offer respects. Chaitanya Charitamrita mein Sanatan Rup Sanatan Goswami, they are doing Bhagvatam, and when the Nawab comes, they get up from their seat, offer respects to him, who is a Maleksha Yavana. They are also Prabhupada writes, because he is a king. He deserves that respect. So because he is Manu, and especially Manu is the representative of the Lord. And we have heard in one of the second canto, in any Manvantar, 6 personalities descend. They are who are avatars of the Lord. Who are they?
Manvantara, Manuputra,
Rishis.
Last. Manvantara avatar.
Lord.
Manvantara, Manu, Deva, Manuputra, Sureshwara, Rishayo, Amshaavatarascha. Hare Shadvidam Uchyate. So therefore he understands that he is a representative of the Lord. So he is offering obeisances. Prabhupada writes, the Supreme Lord is worshipable, always worshipable, rather regardless of whether one is Brahmana, Kshatriya or a Shudra. As the representative of the Lord, the king deserved respectful obeisances from everyone. So that's how anyone who is there in Parampara, they are worshipable. In the 12th canto, last chapter, I think one of the last verses, Sud Goswami says, whenever somebody is speaking in Parampara, it is Krishna who is speaking. Kasmai yena vibhashitoya matulo jnana pradipa pura tadrupena chanaradaya munaya krishnaya tadrupina yogindraya tadatmanata bhagavadarata karunyata tashuddham vimalam vishokam amritam satyam param dhimahi. इसमें क्या बोल रहे हैं? Kasmai, kaha means Brahma. When Brahma is speaking to Narada, who is speaking? Krishna is speaking. Jnana Pradeepa Tadrupena cha Naradaya. Krishna in the form of Brahma is speaking to Narada. And Krishna in the form of Narada is speaking to Vyasa. Krishna in the form of Vyasa is speaking to Shukdeva. Krishna in the form of Shukdeva is speaking to Parikshit. So they are all respected. They should be respected. He continues. Yes. Translations 52 to 54.
If you did not mount your victorious jibal chariot, whose mere presence threatens culprits, if you did not produce fierce sounds by the strangling of your bow, and if you did not roam about the world like the brilliant sun, leading a huge army whose trampling feet cause the globe of the earth to tremble, then all the moral laws governing the varnas and ashramas created by the Lord Himself would be broken by the rogues and rascals.
He's glorifying Swayambhu Manu for whatever he is doing so far. It is not that he will do in future. He is doing so far all this. And he is glorifying. So he is justified in glorifying Swayambhu Manu in this way. So Prabhupada in the purport, he describes about the four social orders. What is the duty of each of them? And it is made up according to guna and karma. And then Prabhupada writes, what is the advancement? Prabhupada writes in the 10th or 11th line. Human society means that society which is making progress towards spiritual realization. The most advanced society was known as Arya. Advancement does not mean creating material necessities unnecessarily. Real advancement is advancement towards spiritual realization. And the community which acted towards this end was known as Aryans. And then in the next paragraph, again, Prabhupada describes some more things about Varnashram system. And then he says, currently, entire situation is very sad. Nobody is following this Varnashram system. Next verse, translation.
If you give up all thoughts of the world situation, unrighteousness would police. For men who hunker only after money would be unafraid. Such miscreants would attack and the world would perish.
So in the 52nd verse, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, 52nd of 54, O king, Kardamuni is saying, O king, why you have come? So then he says, no, but why should I ask that question? I know the answer. You are traveling all over the earth so that the things are in order. That's why you are traveling and that's why you must have come here. Then he continues that you, because you are doing all this, dharma is protected, adharma is kept at bay, and otherwise the miscreants would attack and they would destroy everything. And again, Prabhupada describes the duty of Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas. Last few lines, Prabhupada writes, when there is no training, one simply claims that because he is born in Brahmana and Kshatriya family, he is Brahmana and Kshatriya, even though he performs the duty of a Shudra. आजकल मतलब रिक्शा वाले बोलते हैं महाराज हम भी ब्राह्मण हैं, वो जनों भी दिखाते हैं हमारा हम चतुर्वेदी है. क्यों? हम 4 वेदों को लांग के आते हैं, 4 प्लेटफॉर्म क्रॉस करके हम रिक्शा चलाने के लिए आते हैं इधर. वेद मतलब प्लेटफॉर्म भी होता है, तो कुछ लोग ऐसा बोलते हैं हमारा चतुर्वेदी नाम क्यों. So Prabhupada writes, thus society is now in chaos and there is neither peace nor prosperity. Last verse. Athapi prichet tvam veera.
तथापि पृच्छतां धीर यदर्थः
प्रतिपद्यामहे
गतः तद्वयं निर्भये प्रतिपद्यामहे तथा.
In spite of all this, I ask you, O valiant king, the purpose for which you have come here, whatever it may be, we shall carry it out without reservation.
Yes. So he's saying, please tell me what is the reason why you have come. We'll carry out your orders very properly. So that is the end of this chapter. And interestingly, in the next chapter, Swayambhu Manu begins by telling, thank you for reminding me my duties. That is what he says. Thank you for reminding me. I'll do that. So that is how one should respond. When somebody glorifies, that's what they expect from us. भाई ये सब करना है आपको. So that is very nicely, Swami is telling, thank you for reminding me my duties. He speaks actually, matlab, he says in the 7th verse, I have fortunately been instructed by you, and thus great favor has been bestowed upon me. I thank God that I have listened with open ears to your pure words. So that is the right way to accept glorification. अच्छा हुआ याद दिलाया आपने, ये सब इतना सारा करना है, ऐसा नहीं कि हाँ ठीक है थैंक यू whatever I am doing is nice. No, you are supposed to do all that. That is what is expected from a person when he is glorified or she is glorified. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagvatam ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Put the question paper. Test is there, right?